Just giving Jack something to entertain himself.
How's it going, everyone? Clay, Brennan, and Sid back here with Just Add Water. We're doing another pondless. Love these things. We're gonna pretend we got footage on day one. So yeah, just imagine there was a preformed basin there and some liner up through here, and then all those rocks in the system, and those aqua blocks weren't built. Yeah. No, so we are out here in Ames, Iowa right now doing a pondless tear out redo. The homeowners have had this thing for quite a few years, and they're just wanting a nice little facelift. The old basin that they had did not hold nearly enough water for the length of run going into this. Every time they turned it on, they'd have to brigade buckets of water out here to fill it up before the basin would run dry and the pump would suck air. They also had an old pool pump, inline pool pump. You can kind of see there's the old plumbing line. It used to sit outside of the basin. We're going to be putting a submersible pump in the basin. You know how we do, pump, vault, all that. So yeah, right now we're digging out the area for the basin. It's 15 blocks. It's going to be about 500 gallons, which is about 400 gallons more than the old system used to hold. So yeah, and we're going to be bringing in some much larger rocks, kind of funking things up. I mean, you see how much is torn out, and it's all just cobbles. They don't like that look. We're going to be bringing in rocks like this and finishing up all that. It's all going to be big rocks. This is going to look really cool. It's a real fun, unique one because we've got this landscape bed, the hardscape, everything going under the bridge. Should be fun. Stick around. Watch the progress. We are currently in the hole, in the depths. Right here, you can see homeowner from the previous system put in these two drainage lines just for the system to overflow into. They're two separate lines, actually, completely separate. But so our goal is to tie into this one for our overflow. Essentially, I'm going to cut it down to about right there. He has this leftover tee for us that we can use. We'll put it in at about this height so that way the top is still same height. We're gonna bulkhead into the liner and run a pipe going out into this. And then we'll be at essentially the same height here, and everywhere else liner is gonna be all the way up here, except right down here we're gonna take a dive, make this be the low spot. And then that way, when it does overflow, or if it overflows, we'll all go down here, down and out. We've also got this drainage pipe right here, aka Sid's beverage holder. It comes out, and actually these two drain pipes come down, go into here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put 90 on, and we're gonna shoot it way down here, and we're going to bring the liner up and in, so that way when it rains, all the water from the roof from up there and up there is all going to run down into our basin and top it off. That way they won't have to be adding water nearly as much. Here's the other drain line. Can't really tie into this one. That's the drain line for over there, but a quarter of the roof runoff. It's going to be more than enough. basin, obviously still built. That didn't change from last time. But now we got a waterfall. Well, right now it's just 3 rocks with a couple little rocks under them, because there's no water yet. So yeah, the homeowner is a huge fan of really flat rocks, so, and square shaped rocks. So this one is the perfect shoulder, I believe, and then this one just fits so nicely in there. But yeah, so now what we're gonna do, like I was talking about earlier, we're gonna take this, all this excess, it's gonna come and hide, it's gonna go on top of all this block here. It's gonna come up and it's gonna wrap up to the back of this waterfall, and we'll put dirt on top of it all. Hey, you'll see. Just, yeah, but first we have to get our streamliner in and flopped in, so we'll actually have it coming in from this way, which might look weird because the stream is actually going that way, but judge the process. Don't judge the process, trust the process. It's gonna wrap down behind this waterfall. This liner here is gonna wrap up over top of it, and then when we're all done dirting this in and stuff, we're gonna take the streamliner that's gonna be all the way back here, and we're gonna flop it up that way. That way we can get a nice tight compaction, all that. Nice waterfall flop. Yeah. Now we've got our rocks in here, and I mean, if I come out to here, I am standing on top of the basin, even though there's dirt beneath me. So our basin goes all the way back to the bridge, but you will be none the wiser. As of tomorrow, there will be rock work in here. It'll just look like part of the stream. The basins are really nice. The only problem is the gravel doesn't really get that wet, so if you have a huge, massive basin, you're not getting a whole lot of moisture on it. It's dry rock. It doesn't blend in and look as nice as the rest of it. So we like to keep it condensed down, a little bit smaller. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good look too. But yeah, so that's why we brought our waterfall so far in. Plus it'll elongate the stream. Also, to fix that problem of the gravel being dry, what we'll do is we'll take a chunk of liner and put that down. And even though it can go straight down into the block, that liner is going to keep it from going immediately down in. And so that way you'll still get wet rock probably all the way out to here-ish. So it'll just be a little pad of dry gravel, and like I said, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, here's the first waterfall. Continue up the stream. Now the step is we're gonna do a mini first shelf, kind of from that rock along here out to here, and then we will get another shelf on top of that, just a little bit higher up. The reason for that is the elevation change here is too great that to get that change we'd have to use some pretty massive rocks, and since this tree is right here, we're kind of limited on space. So instead of bumping out to get the bigger rocks, what we're going to do is we're going to build up a little shelf inside, and that's how we'll get our height. You'll see, again, it's just like before. I know what I'm talking about, so just trust the process, stick along. Okay, so this is a bit of a unique situation. Don't always run into stuff like this on job sites, but you know, what are you gonna do when there's a big 6-foot wide bridge?
I want to apologize in advance. Will and Chris finally decided to undo the shackles, so I'm finally going to be going on vacation. or taking a vacation. So tomorrow Will's gonna be on site because he's gonna be taking over this job and finishing it out all next week. So I just want to apologize in advance for if the video quality becomes way less aesthetically pleasing to look at. If there's always that like annoying whining noise that happens whenever he opens his mouth on camera. I want to apologize for that too. But yeah, so if once I leave, video quality just gets way worse. I just want to apologize and thank you for bearing with us.
It's a lot of hands and knees and buckets. Okay, so we're back here up in Ames, starting week 2. Sid and I just got everything prepped to go underneath the bridge. We widened it out a little bit. We got our plumbing line all done through there. So all of our prep work is done. Now we're gonna unfold the rest of our monster piece of liner and get to rocking in. We've got a great big rock that was existing in the system that we're actually gonna try to move to the other side of this bridge, and then we're gonna do a little bit more prep work over there just to really get that shape that we want. But yeah, half of the wonderful time of being underneath the deck is over. Day 4, here we go. We are moving upstream. We just got past the bridge yesterday, got that waterfall built. Now we're gonna shoot some more heights in here. We have another bridge that we have to get to with a waterfall hopefully in between there. So we just gotta make sure all of our elevations are gonna be correct so that we actually like have water moving under the bridge, but not just water, any leaves or damming effect that's gonna go in there. We don't want to make it so close to the bridge that once we get a couple leaves in there that we fill up and then create water loss or a dam with that bridge. So good morning. We're back out here in Ames. We're getting closer. So we actually did a little test run, mainly just because I'm incredibly impatient. Wanted to see how that waterfall was going to turn out. Turned out stupendously. So now we've got this stone bridge here. We got to get our liner up underneath of it. But in the meantime, before we get there, we are going to excavate this section down into here. So we're actually gonna, the tricky part about this is this north side grade is about 6 inches higher than this lower area. We've got this temperamental Japanese maple, so we're gonna cram about 30 inches of elevation change in about 5 feet. So I have to be able to do it correctly, or we have to be able to do it correctly so we don't disrupt this guy here. So it's going to be a lot of crashing and bashing down through there with our biofall. So as I say that, this is going to be a little bit different because we're using a biofall to start this pondless instead of a spillway box. That is basically just because of how tight this is. We're actually going to be able to kind of control this section a little bit better. Before, you can see like that's where it started, really close to those boxwoods. Those guys need a little bit more room, so we're gonna cheat that forward and have that hard plastic box to kind of start our source rather than our spillway box, because I can't adjust a lot of grade work in there, and he wants it higher than that final grade. So we're gonna do some fancy rock work to kind of control all of that, hide a little bit of the box that is going to be seen. So that's our plan. We're going to get potentially severe storms here in about 2 hours, so we're going to hustle to get all of our dirt work done, get it put back in there underneath the bridge, and try to stay dry.
Personality.
That's right.
And I like the lazy river.
We're at our Ames project, getting closer to ramping up. As you can see behind me, we've got all the waterfalls constructed. We've got everything running. So the next step is that final 10%. We're gonna start cutting and tucking liner, do some final grade work around there. There's still a little bit of stuff that has to get done under the bridge, but Sid wants to go swimming because it's getting hot out. I finally remembered the word I was looking for. It's a great big one. Challenges. So we're all done, wrapped up here in Ames. Turned out spectacular. And this was a super fun job. Everything we build has their own unique challenges, and this was definitely one of them, between the basin and the utilities and the depth and everything that we are, but then also the grade changes. You know, their main seating area is behind a limestone wall. It's way above, there's obstructions, there's bridges, there's all of this. So we really had to plan everything correctly to make sure they were gonna get the correct sound that they wanted and everything. So we've brought a waterfall right up next to the bridge for that, right at the front door, which is pretty near where they sit. And then we went up rapidly at the very top over here with a lot of crashing and bashing because it's our highest point in the stream. So we really wanted to make sure that sound was aimed where they were gonna sit. So we have that guy, insert B-roll. And then this is where our homeowners sit, so they have a great view from over there. So one thing we do when we're building is we always keep in mind of where people use their yards. It's the most important thing we can do. People always move their stuff where they sit. Our homeowners already talked about a new patio somewhere else over here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed yourself, we have new videos that come out every Wednesday. We have shorts that drop on YouTube on the daily. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification icon so you get told when we're doing stuff. Catch you in the next one.